as a real highlight of our superb travels in Morocco, we will have a great day exploring wonderful Casablanca.
And then on to Rabat, the capital city.
As a country with the perfect climate for growing them, Morocco is famous for superb jacaranda blooms, which we see as we leave Marrakesh, headed for Casablanca.
Remember I told you before, we're trying to get a call through on the way, maybe, to be received for a tea party. Always working on it, but of course I just figured out it could be a little difficult because it is Sunday today, okay? But at least we get to see it from the outside, and I can promise you, then we go and look at the Hassan Tower. Remember again, that famous minaret tower, which is all what remains of the most famous mosque, which was destroyed because of the earthquake of Lisbon, 1755. Thank you very
much. Leaving Marrakesh, the road to Casablanca seemed to be a never-ending stream of shops and plazas to service the quite large population in this part of Morocco. But of course the desert is just behind, and fertile areas for cropping seem to be pretty scarce. But as we get closer to the coast, the land became obviously much more fertile and well watered from moisture-laden breezes from the wide Atlantic Ocean.
You want to take a shot from here?
And suddenly, we did in fact see our very first camels in Morocco, but in pasture, not in a sandy desert. These desert nomads dawdle while a camel tends her newly born calf. This is the western extremity of the Atlas mountain chain which runs through Morocco. Yet another ribbon township stretching along the main road. They seem to go on forever, but we didn't stop to investigate further because we have a very long drive ahead of us today and must push on. This is the rail line from Marrakesh to Casablanca and Rabat.
That's the river we are crossing. Coming back to crossing on the way to Casablanca.
Suddenly we enter the more fertile crop-growing areas of Morocco, made productive by the moisture-laden trade winds blowing in from the Atlantic Ocean nearby. An intrigued Australian farmer behind me on the coach made an interesting comment.
Of course, growing a winter crop on summer rain is a touchy sort of business too.
Little fishing village by the name of Anfa, settling in Anfa already back in the 12th Mediterranean coast, as far as down into Italy, today's Yugoslavia. Remember, they decided to have more than 10,000 people disembarking, more or less completely. A few years later, they decided to come back and build a house. How they introduced it to be their own language, and it's very similar, but again, a lot of words completely different. Plaza, Plaza de Toros, remember, for example. Plaza Mayor, remember, the main square in most likely every city. And the Portuguese would always call it Praça. Praça, Praça Tombal, for example. See the center of the town of Setat, where we come through last town, yes, before reaching Casablanca. So through the town of Setat, no chemical, it's nothing, just He calls the waiter again. He says, now come on, I mean, all right.
As we near Casablanca, we see more evidence of Morocco's substantial industry, which contributes greatly to the wealth of the country, with chemical exports, car manufacture, and foodstuffs, believe it or not, being significant factors in the country's economy.
Right in front of us, with the new minaret tower, can you see the big mosque, the dominating mosque? Friends of the country, wherever they lived, who donated some money for the construction of this mosque. The cost of it, as I said, it is 520 million US dollars. One of these days you can figure it out how much it is. I'm the one who can't, who is to control the phosphate mines, and this is his office, which you saw. Remember again Casablanca, originally just a little fishing village, then remember the pirates town of Afna, then remember again 15th century, raised by the Portuguese as a revenge for the continuous attacks of the pirates on the Atlantic coast, even into Portugal. And then it just was a White House, remember, which was built by the Portuguese at the beginning of the 1500s. Remember, first named Casablanca, then the Spaniards who followed the Portuguese, they changed the name into Casablanca. It was only a small town. Up to the last World War, the population was roughly 25,000. But then, during the last World War, in fact, Casablanca was to become famous all over the world because of that famous conference of Casablanca. I'm sure some of you, at least the elderly folks, right, should remember that this was that famous meeting here of the three gentlemen by the name of Mr. Roosevelt, Mr. Charles de Gaulle, of course, from France, and then Winston Churchill, right? So Winston Churchill, see, I knew I couldn't say Mr. but Sir Winston Churchill, right? Sir Winston Churchill, and they met here in the year 1942. But quite interesting, you know, they obviously organized this meeting. Originally it was to be in America, see, in Washington, D.C., and of course everybody knows the White House there, right? So, you see, the German espionage, you know, and they got the message, and they said, we're going to have a meeting at the White House, see? And they expected them to meet in Washington, D.C. So pretty soon they decided that eventually this conference was to be cancelled because the Germans knew about it, so they fooled them by moving to the other White House, Casablanca here. You see the connection, the White House in Washington, D.C. So they said, now we don't go to the White House there, but we go to Casablanca. So they made here. And of course, one was the conference, and then the film, to make it a big name. And this is how, after the war, people from all over the country eventually were coming to flock into Casablanca to make it today's biggest city of the country. Well, between 3 and 4 million inhabitants, as I have explained before. This is one of the agricultural marketing centers. Remember, industrial centers, I've mentioned the phosphate mines in the province. How about various chemical industries, the German Bayer, Höchst, the Swiss Hoffmann, La Roche, Ciba-Geigy, they have chemical industries here. Then the machine factories, remember again, the French automobile industries, Renault, Peugeot, Citroën, and the Berlier company, they have assembly plants here. So this is why it is also a automobile making center. Then again, remember the port. I've mentioned that one before, which is the original existence of the people of Casablanca. And up till now, we have about 80% of all the exports, imports, whether food products or whatever, going through the port of Casablanca. King Hassan II. And of course we're going out along the beach. Some pretty exclusive homes here, did you notice, ladies and gentlemen? Again owned by the rebels. Says only the poor of Casablanca live here. Look at the homes. Hotel Anfa, see now with the antennas on the roof. Remember, that's the name of the district, and that's where they had the conference. Right there, at this building. Riviera between Nice and Monte Carlo, maybe. Remember, there's the Basse Corniche, the Moyenne Middle Corniche, and the Haute or Grande Corniche, so the Corniche Road. Beautiful places. And the weather is just perfect again, isn't it? See the beach out there, the public beach back there, yeah? Where everybody goes, did you notice? And then with the rocks here, because you understand, with the big waves coming in, that will be a little too dangerous. The slide, right? Beautiful ocean climate now to experience, right?
The commentary by our guide as we came into Casablanca was so good that I let the tape run on quite a bit. But I'm sure you will agree that the story of Casablanca he gave us was really excellent and set the scene for everything else which is to follow. It was a very strong westerly wind blowing in from the Atlantic, which made life rather unpleasant even being there. And as you can see, the beach was pretty much deserted by the locals, and the surf was pretty wild. But it was great to see it, and see what a beautiful part of the world Casablanca is, and to get to know why the residents like their city so much. Recalling the classic 1942 film, Casablanca, with Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, we were told that there are now 3 bars claiming to be the original genuine Rick's bar.
And we missed to show you his residence in Marbella the other day, so look here, I can show you another one after we've seen one in Tangiers. Remember, see one of the old light towers along the coast. A big piece of it, by the way, is out in the water, was built into the waters. And remember, it's going to be finished only next year. Trying to just coming to collect, giving the receipt, an affair of 1 minute, and that's it.
This is the largest mosque ever built. Not quite finished yet, but budgeted to cost well over $500 million US. Once complete. It is difficult to convey the full size of this building, because it is simply so immense that people become quite ant-sized. I've included multiple shots of the structure because one single shot simply cannot convey the immensity of the building or the grandeur. As non-Muslims, we were understandably not allowed within the building, and I was carefully watched while videoing these shots.
The National Bank, then various administration centers, popular site of Casablanca, worth the picture if you want. Of course there are the water sellers, dirhams, 2 or 3 dirhams for a picture, posing for a picture, the water sellers. But Tangiers, remember the other day when we walked down through Tangiers? So this is about the style of Medina here, not quite as old-fashioned, let's say, than Fez and Marrakesh. Hotel then, see, before the days of Hyatt Regencies and Sheratons moving into here. So on our way to the Parliament House, Parliament with the Assemblée Nationale, with the National Assembly. We have altogether 333 deputy House of Parliament. See? 333 MP. Official buildings, a lot of people working here in the various offices, not today on a Sunday, but tomorrow they are supposed to come back. See the palace now? Not to be able to get the whole thing on a picture because it's too big, sorry. But, okay, this is the home of the royal family. All the houses are strictly for gardeners, etc. Building with the cupola, see that white. That there were 2,000 rooms, but then of course one is supposed to know exactly the size and how many rooms there are, but you've seen it is rather large. Yeah, definitely the policeman said we're not allowed to go any further, huh? But you understand, it's his private home, so he doesn't want to be disturbed. Right inside is the official ministry of the Moroccan Navy. Marine de Morocco. Father of the country, the father of modern Morocco, the one to open the country to the West, to introduce a modern, efficient system. And this is why the people of Morocco have chosen to have this mausoleum built. In fact, they raised the donation. Look here, the British and the Australian embassy, of course, right here on the right. The mausoleum of Mohammed V, and we will stop on one side and then go and visit the tomb and come over to the coach from the other side.
This magnificent mausoleum for King Mohammed V was completed in 1971 and was also intended to house the tombs of his two sons, King Hassan II and also Prince Abdullah. When we visited the mausoleum, King Mohammed V was still alive and in fact lived to quite an old age and didn't die until 1999. Across the river lies Saleh, where most of the commuters servicing Rabat actually live. This is the famous heritage-listed Hassan Tower, begun in 1195 and then intended to be the world's largest, at a planned 86 meters in height. But construction was stopped when the Sultan Yaqub al-Mansur died in 1199.
And remember again, Saleh on this side. 4:30, please come back just over to exit.
Suddenly we got the nod to come inside and view this wonderful mausoleum of King Mohammed V. The external view of the mausoleum was superb, but the magnificence of it inside simply surpasses all belief, as the hushed voices so clearly convey. King Mohammed V and his two sons would certainly rest in peace in these magnificent surroundings. The Hassan Tower was intended to be part of the world's largest mosque, and further construction went ahead in due course, but was left incomplete, with only the beginning of several walls and 200 columns completed before construction ceased. The huge 1755 earthquake off the coast of North Africa, which had been called the Lisbon earthquake, wreaked considerable damage to some parts of the Hassan Mosque as well, including the partly built wall remaining today, yet magnificent minaret miraculously survived intact. And wonderfully close by, with a magnificent view of the Hassan Tower and the mausoleum, was our superb overnight hotel, the Hotel Farah Sofia. Wonderful. And when night falls, we have a magnificent floodlit view of the Hassan Tower, the tranquil river Beauregreg, and the commuter town of Saleh beyond. And panning around to the river mouth, we have a magnificent Atlantic Ocean sunset in the west. And it is all there to be seen from our magnificent rooftop dining room at the hotel. Pure bliss. And next morning, that same magnificent view awaits us as we slowly pan around from the river mouth to the east, where the rising sun again illuminates a magnificent scene, including that wonderful Hassan Tower, to remind us of the amazing journey we have just completed through magnificent Morocco, as we get ready to drive to Tangiers to board a ship across the Straits of Gibraltar to southern Spain, and then head northeast to Portugal and wonderful Lisbon. So it's farewell for now. I do hope you have enjoyed watching my videos of magnificent Morocco.